Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Trailblazer Podcast. I'm your host, William Walker, and I know that in the past and in most circumstances, we always have a guest, or I always have a guest, and we kind of tell their story and understanding who they are as a trailblazer and what they've done differently in their life, to make them that trailblazer, the changes that they've made or the decisions they've made to do these things. But today, I thought we would change it up a little bit and kind of talk about lessons from the trail. I know I've posted at least one podcast already where we just talked about some lessons that I've learned from the trail, and I really want to go back there today. I thought it'd be a great opportunity, especially with the fact that we are planning this brand new, or I'm planning this trip to Africa. It's a leadership retreat. We're planning on taking a group of men there. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I can't wait to share more about it. But anyway, today I really wanted to spend some time just talking about some of the lessons that I've learned over the years, but just here lately. Um, and one of the first ones that I think that I always think about when being on a trail is my endurance, and how important it is to know that I have what it takes to keep pushing through. Endurance is what keeps my legs moving and really keeps even when my muscles start screaming, it keeps me pushing through. It's what pushes me through to cover those last miles when my energy reserves are down or when I just don't feel like I have what it takes to get through that mountain. A few weeks back, maybe probably about a month ago, I injured my Achilles. It's kind of one of those reoccurring things that injuries is just kind of nagging. And I was doing some running, and I just once again just kind of injured it, and so my physical therapist has asked me not to run, and so I've had to find other ways to bring my cardio in on assault bike, rower, definitely two things that I have at my disposal here at the gym at my house. But the other thing that I really enjoy doing that's not as strenuous on my Achilles or on my heels is rucking, and it's a completely different thing when you get this and you put a weight on your back and you have to carry it. And I think that that's some of the stuff that we have to do in leadership. We have to pick up and carry things that maybe not be our that aren't our responsibilities, but because we're part of the team, we have to help. I lead a small group for guys on Sundays at my house, and we always do a workout, and then we talk about Jesus. And the reason that I always have the workout, and this is something I've been doing for, I don't know, 6, 7 years now, is because I always realized that there was this connection between the men that took part in this small group that happened when they realized that somebody else in the group, part of this tribe, was willing to pick up the weight and push through when their endurance was running out, which actually gave them a little more ability to dig down inside of themselves and find a little bit more. To realize that, hey, you know what? I can make it to that next tree. I can push through the pain, the discomfort that I'm having and make it to that next tree. And it was important to them that they realized that they had these men that came alongside them and were willing to help them. For me, when I think about endurance, I think about the Spartan races that I've run, and having to push through some of those. I've run all three series. I have two. Um, I don't remember what they're called, trifectas. Yeah, where you run all three levels in one year. I've done that twice, and it's a 3 to 5, 8 to 10 is what it used to be, and then it was a 12 to 14. And it was always longer than 14. At least the ones I did. It seemed like my Garmin watch was definitely going, "Hey, what the heck?" But I had to push through, even when my body was cramping or my legs were cramping and my mind was telling me, "Hey, you can quit. You don't have to finish that obstacle," or "Hey, you don't have to do those burpees because you didn't do because you didn't finish an obstacle or didn't complete an obstacle." I always knew that I had to dig down inside of me and find what it was going to take. I wrote down something earlier. It says, endurance in leadership is shown by those who are consistent, who persevere through the periods of doubt and maintain their efforts when results aren't immediately visible. And this is so true. The last couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, have been really difficult for me. I'm launching a business. I've been pushing this podcast out, and I just for the last couple weeks, I felt like I was getting a lot of no's or I was getting a lot of silence. And I just wasn't making any traction. The voice in my head was getting louder, saying, "Hey, you don't have what it takes. Guys don't want to connect with you. They're not interested in becoming the leaders that they're called to be. They're not interested in your messaging at all." And there were days that I was really questioning whether or not I should continue on. And there were even days that I found that as I was going to my quiet time and praying and just going, "Hey, God, I need you to tell me, am I doing something right? Am I doing something wrong?" That I would get silence. And eventually, on the other side of this, like 2 weeks into this, and there were some rough 2 weeks, for a lot of people, and just a lot of people in my life, they caught the other side of this from me, and it was difficult. But towards the end, I ran into an old friend and she was praying with my wife and I. And during the prayer, she stopped and she goes, "William, I hope you know the impact that you've had on men's lives." And she shared with me the impact that I had on her husband and her son and a friend of theirs, a very close friend of theirs, men that were part of my group. And man, I do remember, and I'm still friends with them. I haven't talked to a couple of them in a long time, but it meant a lot. And it was like God was speaking through her, telling me, "Hey man, just keep pushing through, keep persevering through this time. I'm yes, I'm being quiet, but I'm teaching you something in this. I need you to build your endurance and know that I'm here with you and you're on the right path." And then I went to breakfast I don't know, about 3 days later, and I had another very similar message come from a very close friend of mine, and mentor of mine. And it was just this powerful, amazing moment after what I remember being 2 weeks of complete silence, from God in my prayer time. I mean, I was so angry, I was upset, but I kept getting up in the morning. Kept going outside and sitting on my back porch and watching the sunrise and asking him to just talk to me, and asking him simple questions like, "Hey, what do you think of me as a man? What do you think of me as a leader? Am I supposed to be doing this?" And getting nothing in return. And then all of a sudden, towards the end of that, I got that. And that was a big lesson for me. And for me, I know we're calling this lessons from the trail, but I'd have to say this is lessons from my path, my path in life, the journey that I'm on as a leader, as a husband, as a father, as a son, as a man. And so this lesson I learned here recently was all about the endurance that it takes to just keep moving when it's hard and the muscles are screaming. Even even tonight, I was trying to complete my workout, and we're getting down to the end, and I'm looking at, going, "Okay, hey, I've got everything done except for this last little ab circuit that I have to do that was programmed." And I'm thinking to myself, "Man, I could skip that. That's not a big deal." Because I'm already tired, and I'm like, "No, I can't. I got to do that." And so I set my timer. It was an 8-minute EMOM, and I just pushed it out. And I feel better because of it. Got my heart rate up because of it. And that was after a strong shoulder and back workout. And so it just goes to this is just to kind of remind us that endurance is something that we have to practice. It's something that we learn. It's not something everybody has a ton of, but we all have the ability to have it. And the only way to learn how to strengthen that muscle is by using it, is by putting ourselves in uncomfortable positions, and being willing to maintain a steady hand, you know as we guide ourselves through these storms, and just be unwavering and steadfast to who you are and what you were created for. And and stuff like that. So that was my lesson one this last 2 weeks. The other lesson I wanted to share with you guys tonight was about persistence. Persistence is about the relentless pursuit of our goals, our objectives. And I would even challenge you to look at persistence is the relentless pursuit of what success looks like for your life. And I'm not talking about the dollars that are in your bank account. What does success look like for your life? What do you want people to say about you when that day comes and you pass along? That's what I want my success to be measured by. I want to know that I had a successful life when people were like, William was so authentic and intentional about how he served the men in his life, the way he loved his wife and his sons. He was humble, never forgetting where he came from and always open to learning. That to me, if people are saying those things about me when I'm dead and gone, then I've had a successful life. It doesn't matter how much money I have in my bank account. So how do I become persistent towards that? Once again, I look back towards the path, the trail, it's all about continuing that search, continuing to take the time to reflect and go back. Um, I have a system that I use in my coaching program, and it's called the trail markers. And all five markers are very, very important. But I think one of the what could be considered as one of the most important ones is this process, this repeatable process, which is the fifth one. Yes, unpacking your purpose, and so it's purpose, purpose, strategy, people, communication, and repeatable process. And repeatable process is all about being able to go back and reflect on where you're at and where you still have to go to reach what that success is for you. So it's going back and looking, hey, am I aligned with my purpose? Am I aligned with what I was created to do? And let me tell you guys, it's much more than just be a good husband and be a good father. Yes, those are important, but husband and father are the roles you play. You were put on this earth for more than that. Now, the lens that you use, your purpose lens, the who you're supposed to serve lens, helps you define how you're going to serve your wife and your kids and the people in your company that you lead or in your business that you lead. On the trail, it's all about continuing to search for, your source of water. Even when you're tired and you're feeling down, you're trying to keep that morale high. And so you just got to be persistent and put one foot in front of the other. Keep moving forward. I was talking with a client this morning and I was talking about, does he have any health goals and things like that? And he's like, honestly, my biggest goal right now is just to get up every day and get on my Peloton bike. I'm like, that's awesome. Persistence. Every day, just get up and get on it. He doesn't have amount of time he wants to get on. He's just, I need to get on it. I need to make sure that I spend some time on that. Now, will I challenge him later to continue to refine that? Absolutely, because we need to. We can't just stay there, but his persistence is going to pay off for him. His willingness to continue to get up and get on that bike. And then he'll be able to start reflecting on, hey, how far have I come on this bike? And then I can start making other goals and objectives and success measurables that he wants for getting on that bike and for his health. In our lives, persistence is what keeps us knocking on doors until one opens. It's refining our strategies. Once again, just like I talked about, repeatable process, going back in. Hey, is my purpose aligned with the strategy, the goals that I have? Are my strategies, are my goals, are my objectives, are they aligned? Are they the right ones? Have I been able to move closer to them every time I took a step? Or is it not moving? Sometimes persistence doing this, sometimes you got to realize persistence doesn't necessarily pay the bills, right? Being persistent at something that's not moving the needle any is not, is not persistence. That's just stubbornness. And there's a difference, right? That means you're not listening to the people in your life, which is one of the trail markers, is making sure you have people in your life that can speak truth into you, that are going to challenge you, um, and 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 come alongside you and give you a different perspective. You know, not people are going to pull you down, but people who actually care about who you want to be, not who you are at this moment, but see you for who you want to be, see you the way God sees us. Like when we look in the mirror, I know we see ourselves, and so many times I've heard the voice in my head, oh, you're not strong enough, or you're not good enough, or you're not handsome enough, or whatever it is, right? I don't know about the handsome part, but anyway, the thing is, when God looks at us, he sees us for who we're going to be. And we need to be able to look in the mirror and see us for who we're going to be. And we need to put people in our lives that are going to speak to that so that we can be persistent in moving that needle and moving forward. Persistent, it's about not accepting defeat, and it's about the relentless pursuit of excellence, not perfection, just excellence, trying to get better, trying to just get a little bit better. The last thing I want to talk about is resilience. And I think I've talked about this on a previous podcast. Resilience is our ability to bounce back, to kind of get knocked down and know that you get up. I think I've seen that meme or that video where it's Rocky talking to his son, and they're obviously much older, and he's like, you know, it's not about how hard or how you take the hit. It's about whether or not you can take the hit, get up, and keep moving forward. That's the resilience. It's our ability to get up and keep moving forward. It's about adapting to unexpected weather, navigating through unmarked paths. And as trailblazers, as men, as trailblazers, we are called to create a path for others to follow. As leaders, we are called to create a path for others to follow. And so sometimes we don't get a path. And even if we have a little bit of a path in front of us, we're still going to have to walk out our own, because we just can't follow somebody else's footsteps our whole life. What good would that be if I just did the same thing everybody did? Nothing would ever change. Nothing would ever grow. I would never grow. I'd just sit back and content, happy, just being a slug, doing nothing. And that's not who I am. And that's not who you are. When we can find our way, when the map doesn't match the terrain in our lives, that's resilience, pushing through. I can think of a lot of times in my life when I had to push through. There was times when I was going through my divorce and my son, and we were fighting over him. And there were days that it's not that I just wanted to give up, but it was just like maybe I could just pack my stuff and move and make it easier or do whatever. But I knew that I needed to be where I was supposed to be. And so I had to maintain a level of resilience there to keep moving forward, to do what was right for my son, which is have him here with me. That I couldn't be prouder of the young man that he's come. And I have also, now that I've remarried, I have three amazing sons actually, and each one of them are amazing and resilient young men. They have all walked their own path in one way or another, and it's been cool to see them navigate their life and their path and create their own path, and the resilience that they had to have to keep moving forward. Because you know what? Unforeseen obstacles in life, that's just part of it. I mean, it's straight up, bad things are going to happen in life because it's life. Like, stuff just happens. So it's about, what are you going to do when it happens? Are you going to look at it, whine about it? Are you going to get up and go, hey, you know what? That happened. Let me take a step to the left. Then I take a step forward, not fall in that hole again. And then I sure we can learn from that. Learn from those things. I can't tell you how many lessons I've had to learn the hard way. Many, 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 many. Launching this business. Every time I turn around, I'm learning a new lesson on how often I'm supposed to be reaching out and connecting with leaders. I'm having to be resilient right now because I'm trying to get this thing going and reach a certain. I have a certain goal by the end of the year that I want to be able to reach. And you know what? You get told a lot of no's when you ask people to join a group, or you talk to them about what you're coaching and what you're doing, and they talk about how they're interested and they want that. And when you drop a proposal in front of them, they're like, "Ooh, well, maybe I don't want that." And I'm like, "Okay, well, it's not that it's that expensive, but it's like, what is it worth to have someone come alongside you and encourage you and hold you accountable? What is that worth to you? You know, not saying that I got all the answers, but sometimes I just need someone to come alongside me to push me through. I remember when I was in boot camp, we were on one of our forced marches and we're going up Recon Ridge, First Sergeant Hill. I don't remember. It was just this massive hill we're going up, and we got our rucksacks on, and you can just hear a lot of the grumbling start to happen. And the DIs, the drill instructors, they're all in it. They're all like, they're waiting for someone to quit. They're waiting for someone to just fall out, and just so they can just get on them. And I knew that it didn't matter how tired my legs got, or how heavy that pack started feeling, or how hot it was outside, as it was June in Southern California. But even though that's still nice, um, it was hot. And I just had to keep pushing forward. I had to keep taking my step. I started finding myself looking for small goals, that I could hump to. I could march to. The next rock, the next person so many feet up in front of me. I would just find myself focusing on that, so I can give myself small little wins, and just push through that. And those are some of the lessons that I had to learn, and I'm still learning to this day. Even now, when I get out and I go for a rock, like, find myself having to push through, you know, run up and down some hills. Sucks, you know? Or how am I going to help another guy out when he's out there? How do I adapt to the change is all about being resilient. When I made a transition from Marine Corps back into working as a chef, I had to make some serious changes. In the Marine Corps, it was very much do what I say. These were the expectation. This was my Humvee, my rock, my rifle, whatever. I mean, there was always this ownership that was expected out of us. And then when I got back into the civilian world, I had to adapt to change. I had to become resilient and learn how to interact with people again in a different manner. And I struggled at first. Like, I can remember having conversations with some of my chefs, just them going, "Hey, like, you can't talk to people that way. You can't treat them that way." And I'm like, "I didn't do anything wrong. They're just not doing their job, and I'm holding them accountable." And he's like, "Yeah, but you can't do it that way." And there were days that I was like, "Man, I want to go back in the Marine Corps. I can't deal with this." But I knew that's what I was supposed to do. I knew I was supposed to get out. I knew I was supposed to continue pursuing my career as a chef, and I had to be resilient and keep pushing through. These are just some of the lessons that you learn while on the trail and while you're on the path in life. And that's nothing that I don't think it's anything new and crazy that no one's probably ever talked about before. Resilience, endurance, persistence, without a question. They are important in our lives. Together, resilience, endurance, and persistence form a triad of qualities that not only get us through the physical challenges of the trail, but also guide us through the complexities of our personal and professional lives. They help us move forward in both our personal and our professional lives. Think about the resilience you have to have in your marriage. Hey, you know what? There are bad times sometimes that happen in our marriage. We get in fights with our wives, and we've just got to be resilient, persistent. Sometimes we have to fight for our wives because there's spiritual attacks that come on them, and we have to be persistent about how we're going to pray for them and fight for them. These are the traits of leaders who inspire, who lead by example, and who bring out the best in those around them. It's the type of leader that I want to be. So as you journey through the landscape, the rugged landscape of your life, of just being on the path, try to remember some of these lessons from the trail. Try to embody these qualities, not just when the path is easy and you know exactly where you're going and the sun's shining and everything's perfect, but when it's dark outside and you feel lost and alone. Those are the moments that our leadership is forged. Those are the moments that who we are as men and who we are as men, as we're called to be. That's where we're formed, in those areas. So, just on a side note, if you're interested, I am actually going to be leading a leadership retreat to Africa. It's going to be an amazing, just once in a lifetime adventure to Africa that will, we're going to talk about these things. We're going to climb a couple mountains. And I don't know if you've ever dreamed of standing on the edge of a mountain and looking out across Africa, or maybe taking a mountain bike ride through. There's a Hell's Gate. It's a national park there with the wild animals all around you, zebras and giraffes and who knows what else. And I know those don't seem like ones that'll eat you, but they will definitely get you. They could get you while we're on a mountain bike. But this is a call to adventure. It's time for us to jump in and use this experience to awaken that adventure that's in all of us. That adventure that has persistence, is resilient, has endurance, and is persistent about what they do. And if this is something you're interested in, it's a very easy thing. I got 3 steps for you to follow. One is connect with me. First and foremost, just connect with me. Let's find a time to meet up and we'll grab a coffee or a Zoom coffee, if that whatever's easiest for you. Commit to signing up and then join the group. And you'll be with a group of like-minded men, united by a common quest to adventure and self-discovery and really unpacking who we are from the side of these mountains in this time in Africa. So I just want to say thank you for joining me today and just talking about some lessons from the trail. Remember, the journey is as much about discovering ourselves as it is about reaching our destination. So until next time, this is William, and I'm out, and keep blazing your trails.